All right, guys, good evening once again. Skatavas is still there. We are going to continue from where we stopped last time. Okay. And I'm saying right now we're going to look at work in progress. Okay. Whenever it is still process costing, okay. Nothing has changed, but we now have work in progress. That when you are doing your job or when you're trying to transform raw materials into finished goods, okay, what happened is that some goods were not transformed fully, okay, meaning that there was still some work left to be done on those so that they become complete, what you're calling work in progress. And this reminds me, process costing is mainly familiar with what we call manufacturing businesses and firms. They're the ones that normally use the process costing. Okay, so I won't take long there. So with process costing, I mean work in progress. This is what you have to know. This is what we call a statement of equivalent units. Okay, I think I've seen most of the questions. Let me sample you one of the questions and see how it looks like. Okay, so this is one of those questions. They're saying below clearly manufacturing company. So I thought I should emphasize that. Then the company manufactures products that pass through 3 processes. Okay, process 1, process 2, and process 3. The following information was obtained for process 2 in the last accounting period. Okay, now I'll give you process 2 information. Right, so anyway, that's not what I wanted to confirm with what they normally ask. Okay, so here they've just been straight. Okay, but other questions they'll tell you, you prepare statement of equivalence. Then they'll tell you prepare what we call statement of work in progress valuation. Then they'll tell you to prepare a statement of finished goods valuation. Then they'll tell you now prepare the process account. Okay, all those stages you're supposed to walk through them. So let's see. I'll still going back to guys. Please. So I was still saying, you have statement of equivalent. Now this one here really just looks at mainly the output. Okay, looks at mainly the output. Sorry about that. Okay, the output. Why? Because the work in progress comes in when you're outputting. That when they come to the process and try to obtain what you have done for us so far, what's our outcome? They'll have complete and then they'll have incomplete, what you call work in progress. Right? So what happens is with this statement, you must have output. Output here really just showing the total output. Okay. So this one usually combines both the finished goods, or what you would call the complete, and then work in progress. Okay. Then it also shows for each cost, how much have they spent on particular work in progress. Okay, as you will see, we shall see it clearly. So here, let me take an example of materials. Okay, let me even put it here. Okay, materials. So, okay, so I think it fits here well. Does it? So we have the output. Okay, preferably let's say percentages. You have the percentage. The percentage here usually shows that to what extent have you completed the output. Okay, and then you show the output. Now for finished goods, because they're complete, the percentage will always be 100%. Okay, I mean they're complete. Then for work in progress, you're showing to what extent have you worked so far. Okay, so to always show you the closing work in progress. So assuming you have a rate of 30%, as we shall see. Now the output for materials, therefore, it will be given based on the percentages that you multiply the units that you have for finished goods times 100 to come up with the output. And then for the work in progress, 30% times the work in progress output to come up with the output under materials alone. Okay, let me respond some of your chats. Your worksheet. Not seeing what you really know. Okay, apologies. Thanks. Okay, this is the worksheet I was trying to show you. Okay, apologies about that. Then let's go to another, say, another material cost. So another cost, assuming it's labor now. Okay, or direct labor. Now, for labor still, we shall take percentages. Okay, we're saying that for finished goods, you have finished everything, hence 100%. Okay, it's 100% complete. Work in progress, we take the percentage of what you think we have completed so far as the labor costs and labor needs are concerned. So assuming it's different from material now, maybe it's 50%. Okay, for you to get the quantity under labor, the output, okay, I should say quantities, I think. Mistake to output. Okay, the output, it's got by multiplying this rate here times the number of units that you finished, or the finished goods. I shall have a feel of how it looks like. And then for work in progress, it is the 50% times the units that are in work in progress. Okay, and among other costs. So let me just take a sample of that. Okay, now to emphasize the statement of equivalent units, just like you can hear the word units, it talks about mainly units only. Okay, units only. So let's go to another statement. The other statement is statement of costs per unit. I think I did talk about it in my introduction. The cost per unit. Now here, it looks at how much costs have you incurred on each unit. This is how it looks out, or this is how it stands out. It's not responding. I hope my network is not disturbing that side. Okay. Now, under statement of cost per unit, you might be looking at the costs. Okay, now this is trouble. Okay, guys, kindly confirm that you can hear me. Can you confirm in the chat? Then here we're saying, here you were looking at the costs. Okay, basically, let me say details for now. You're looking at details, then you have material, then you have labor. In this case, you only have two costs. If you had overheads, you would add. Then you bring the costs of each, the costs. I'm talking about the total costs here. The total cost that you incur in a particular process regarding materials and labor, you bring them here. Okay. And then you bring the units.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon on statement of equivalent.
Right. But preferably, guys, kindly just text it, preferably, right? The statement of equity, it talks about units and specifically output. Okay. If it's process A or process 1, what is your output? Okay. Now, this statement of equivalence talks about that output. And we're saying with the output, we look at the finished goods that you have finished by the end of the process, and those that you haven't finished yet, what you call incomplete or work in progress. Okay. Now, that output is split into the costs. Okay, I'm saying you have material cost and labor cost, and any other cost that may involve shall add it accordingly. Okay, but when you're getting units that were involved with material, for example, the percentages are given as such that for finished goods, it's 100 because it's 100% complete. Okay, for work in progress, you're taking an assumption that assuming that you finished 30%. So these percentages are multiplied by whatever output. Okay, just a moment. Okay, apologies about that. Okay, so I was saying you multiply the percentage by the units of the finished goods to get the units for materials alone. Then the percentage times the work in progress units to get the output for materials. The labor, same story, that for incomplete it's 100, but the percentage is always given. They will tell you to what extent the labor was complete as far as the work in progress was concerned. So for you to get the output, therefore, it is the 100 times the number of units for the finished goods. You'll get the output for labor. For the work in progress, it is 50% times the work in progress units, as we shall see. All right. That's the statement of equivalence. I hope those Christine was asking, and I hope I've answered you clearly. Right. Then going back to statement of cost per unit. This one is simple, that you bring all your costs that you have incurred and their totals. And then you bring the units that you accumulated from this side, okay, from step 1, which you're calling the statement of equivalence. The total under materials is what you bring here. And the total under labor is what you bring here. And then accordingly, you get the cost per unit. Allow me call it CPU, which is given by the total cost divided by the number of units that you have spent on. Okay. And simple as that. Okay. So let's look at the next statement. The statement of say, let's begin with work in progress, valuation. Okay. Here you're trying to value all units of work in progress. So statement of equivalence talks about output only. Yes, output only. Okay. The percentages come through based on what was complete and what was not complete. Okay. Also, I hope you're fine. Very true. Okay. Talks about outputs only and units specifically. Maybe I'm not getting. Okay, now. Jackie, you just bear with us for now. I'm sure you'll appreciate it more when we're doing the number itself. Okay. Then, so just hang in there. Once you begin doing the number, you can ask your relevant questions. Then statement of working of valuation. Allow me also include, let me combine also with finished goods. What's the value of finished goods or products? Okay. Now with this one, it looks at the goods. Okay. And then, for example, now for work in progress, we are saying we spent material on it. Okay, I hope my arrangement is fine. We have to rearrange it again. So you bring here your work in progress. The units that you had as work in progress under materials, how much was it? Okay, remember it comes from here. Okay, the 30% times work in progress. Those will be the number of units for materials alone. Okay, then for labor, same story. They come only from this part from the equivalent statement. And then we value them at the CPU. Okay, the cost per unit. That for materials, the cost per unit for materials was given, or we got it from the second statement. For labor, same story. The cost per unit was given this side, right? And then it's the rate, therefore. Guys, my apologies. Okay, the network is now starting to misbehave. So I was saying that for you to get there for the value of work in progress, you just multiply the units of work in progress times the cost per unit. As we shall see, really, we shall have a better feel as we do the numbers. All right. So for finished goods, the same story. That for finished goods, allow me put it here. That for materials, allow me put it here, and I say work in progress stroke finished goods. Okay. That for this side, now that's why we have finished goods. That whatever you had as finished goods under materials from step 1, which was talking about equivalence or statement of equivalence, is what you bring for materials. And for labor, usually they're the same really, but we shall see. Okay. And then you apply the CPU as usual. Okay. So we're saying for material, we got it from statement 2. For labor, we still got it, right? And then officially multiply the rate times the number of units, and you have the same answers. Okay. So that's how we do statement of work in progress and finished goods valuation. Okay. So all right. Okay. So now we go to the next statement. This one is really easy. The one that we are saying statement of, actually not even a statement, is the process account. Okay, which we all have an idea, or which we also, that on the debit side, you put all expenses. Okay, all costs incurred. Then on the credit side, for this one, let me borrow this this formula that we had for our first discussion. Okay, this one here. So what you're saying is, what you put here is a transfer from the previous, just the normal thing, okay? The normal thing that you know. If there's any abnormal loss, you still obtain it. Then here, what changes is you now have finished goods. You have finished goods, and then here you have work in progress. Okay. If we have any normal losses, we shall also see. Okay, but for this particular part, they normally don't ask for normal loss and abnormal loss or gain. So guys, that is the brief. Okay, we are now going to attempt the question. So as usual with the question, you just summarize, but this one was summarized for us, so I don't know how this is going to. Okay, I've shared the question. Kindly make sure that you can see the question. Kindly confirm that you can see the question. All right. So this is the information regarding process 2. They're talking about opening inventory. You have transfer from process 1. Okay. So let me summarize the information as, okay, this one's already summarized really. So I don't know, but I need to transfer the information to my Excel. So clearly you just bear with me as I still transfer. I still talk about the same thing. Kindly bear with me on that. So we are saying transfer from process 1. Okay. Transfer from process 1. Right here saying it's 4,000 units. They're valued at 300,000. Now this reminds me, the transferred goods, the cost that we incur in the next process is not transferred to the next process. The cost is not transferred to the next process. What am I trying to say here? That the value of this 300,000 that you're saying here is not taken along in the other process. Why? Because you're saying, yes, it's valued at that, but this cost was incurred in the previous process. So as a company or as a business, we can't incur it again. So the value of units coming from a previous process is not attached among the amounts. Okay, I'll emphasize that as I do the question. Then we have the 100%. Okay, complete direct material. So we're having direct materials as a cost. Okay, this was given as 600,000. So for this one, we're interested. Okay, it's a cost. We are incurring it now under process 2. Okay. Then you have 60% complete as labor. This is for labor now. Okay, and the cost is 80,000. Okay, then they're saying 50% complete as factory overheads. So these are factory overheads, 50% factory overheads. Okay, this is 20,000. Okay, then they're saying costs incurred during the period. Okay, we had 20,000 units transferred in from process 1. Okay, I think these ones were bought. Let me confirm first. This is opening inventory, all right? And these are costs. Okay, so actually our eyes are supposed to be on this. Okay, what we incur or what incur, bro. You actually still transferring the information, so I'll share the worksheet just as soon as I finish transferring the information. Okay, I'm not doing anything really new here. So costs incurred during the period. So we're saying for this particular one, they really incurred it or they spent on it. The 20,000 units. 1, 2, 3 units. Transfer from process 1. Okay. The amount is 1.6 thousand. Then you have the direct materials. Okay, these are 900,000. Then you have direct labor. It's 400,000. Then we have factory overheads. Okay, this one we are 100,000. Okay, then you have closing inventory. So this was opening inventory. Then you have closing. The units or work in progress. Work in progress. We had 800,000 units. Okay, still work in progress. Then 90% complete to direct labor. Okay, so now we're saying percentages now here they come 90%, but this one strictly to labor. Then we have okay, 90 is for material and labor. Produce. This is material. Then we have labor. This is 70%. Then we have factory overheads. This is 35%. And then they're saying there were no losses in this process. Okay, so that's your information. Allow me to share my worksheet therefore. Okay, I hope you guys can see my worksheet. Okay, I hope you can. Now, this is the information that you have. Okay, for purposes of us understanding, allow me first ignore the opening inventory. We shall look at it later. Okay, so the assumption is, assuming we didn't have opening inventory, we only had closing inventory. How would you go about it? Okay, I don't want to combine them both just for purposes of us clicking. How will you go about it? This is it. the first thing is you're supposed to create the statement of the equivalent, right? From this information that we have. I can just borrow it the way it is here, and I just copy it there. Equivalent. Okay, it's the first thing. Once you see work in progress, you must draw this statement of equivalent. Okay, I've just brought all the information here. Let me confirm to your chat what Igor is saying. Yes, statement of equivalent. And I'm saying our output, we have finished goods. Okay, I will need to have quantities here. So allow me put in, how they call it. Allow me insert. Okay, for my quantities. Okay, quantities in units, we all know that. Okay, now I'll come over. Okay, this statement here, you just look at the output of the process. Now, the output of the process, how is it given? This is what you incurred or what you brought about, all right? That you had 20,000 units from process 2. Where is it, 200 or 20,000? Let me confirm. I thought I wrote this wrong figure. It is 20,000, yes. Okay, so we're having 20,000, not 200, as input from process 1. Okay, and I'm saying whatever value they put on units coming from a previous process, that amount there is not carried forward. Reason being that, yes, this is process costing, and this is process 2, but we are saying that this entire cost was incurred by the entire business. That cost that we incur in the first process, it's the business that paid them. And therefore, the cost that they're going to incur in the second process, it's the business going to pay. So there's no way it's going to pay again for what it already paid for. Okay, remember this value here of from process 1, or the output in process 1, is actually the balancing figure of the cost that we incur in process 1. Okay, so therefore, whenever we bring values or transfer some units from one process to another, you don't carry along the amounts or the costs or the values because they were incurred in the previous process, and therefore, anyway, that was that's for later. Let's stick to our equivalent statement. For finished goods, here they said, okay, they're saying that work in progress, you have 8,000. Okay, remember you put in 20,000. So what can be your finished goods? Okay, the finished good can only be, remember they said there's no loss, that you didn't make any losses. So meaning that what's supposed to come out is supposed to be the same as what came in. Hence, therefore, it should be 20,000 minus the work in progress, which is 8,000. Okay, and then of course the work in progress is 8,000. So that your total will be 20,000. And this is because there was no loss. Okay, I hope we're together till this part. Okay, some questions are clear directly. They'll tell you that the output for finished goods was I've got this link here. They'll tell you that the output for this for the complete was 12,000. Work in progress is 8,000. They'll tell you clearly. Okay, but in this case, they didn't tell us you're supposed to figure it out. Then the percentages. We have materials, then we had also factory overheads. So I need to add factory overheads here. Factory overheads. Okay. So still some story, you have percentages, and then you have the output. Right? So therefore, our materials, complete, it's complete. I mean, finished goods are complete. They always be at 100, always at 100%. But the issue is on the incomplete, work in progress. So we're given percentages here. What are you getting, please? I'm getting statement of equivalence. So what I'm trying to compute here. That you get your output, you have to know that which was finished, what was finished, and what is incomplete. Once you have them here, you're supposed to split them amongst the materials, labor, and factory, all the costs that you incurred. And I'm saying for this one to be 100 times 100% times 12,000, okay? And it's work in progress. The percentages are given. For material, it's 90% complete. Okay. For labor, it is 70% complete. 70% complete. For factory, it is 35%. They were given information, closing inventory. So therefore, my work in progress, therefore, for materials to be 8,000 times 90%, I have that. Okay. Then I get my totals here. So those are the number of units that material costs produced. Then you go to labor. Okay, I said already this is 100% because they are finished goods, so it always be the same. The issue or the difference comes on work in progress, where it is 70% only. So 70% times 8,000, they will give you that. So the total units on labor were those. Then still complete, it's still 12,000 times 100% for factory overheads. And then for work in progress, it is 35%, okay, times the 8,000. So that's what we call the statement of equivalence. This is how it's drawn. You look at the complete units, you look at work in progress. Based on the percentages that we ended up with, they will tell you clearly that labor, we had 90%, sorry, 70%, material is 90, factory is 35. So the work in progress must be split according to the percentages, like the way you can see. Where are you getting the 8,000? The 8,000 was given in the question. Okay. Thank you, Zoom user, for the response. All right. So I hope you didn't join late again, Jackie. I hope you didn't join late. Okay, because you're asking questions that you have just answered. All right. Then let's go to the next statement, which is, let me just scroll up. The next statement is cost per unit. Okay. So let's see how we go about cost per unit. For cost per unit, you look at the costs incurred. So in this case, we have material, labor, and factory overheads. Okay. Then you bring the costs that you incurred in regarding those particular expenses. So the information was given under, I think, current transactions, as you can see here, right? So for material, it is 90,000. This is 90,000 or 900, you shall see. For labor, it is 400. For factory, it is 100. Okay. These were the total costs incurred in process 2. All right, from the question. Now, okay, guys, every time you unmute, you disorganize me. Now, where was I? Okay, now the units, we are saying you come here from the statement of equivalence, the total units is what you carry under statement of cost per unit. So for material, you have 19,200. For labor, you have 17,600. For overheads, you have 14,800. Those are the units. You take it from the first step, statement of equivalence. Cost per unit. You can hear the word cost per unit. If you spent 900,000 on bringing about 19,200 units, how much is each therefore? It's given by the total cost divided by the number of units. That will give you a cost per unit. So you have 47 and below we have 23 and 7 respectively. Why don't we cost from the statement of equivalence? Why don't we? Okay, these are statements. Most are just to be clear. And you will see why in the end, why you don't put costs. But otherwise, the statement of equivalence speaks strictly about units. It's all about units. That's why I've even added the word unit on it. Statement of equivalent units. Okay, so we're talking about units only here. Davison, I hope I've answered you also. So the cost starts from here, step 2. Okay, I hope we have seen how to get CPU. Let's go to the next thing, which is the next statement. Okay, I have 3 minutes left on this link. Guys, I beg that I create another. Okay, but before I do, maybe you can ask any questions regarding what we've covered so far. Make sure that you have understood how we get statement of equivalence and how we get the statement of cost per unit. Okay, make sure you have understood. Any questions as we wait for this to close, because there's 3 minutes left to this, so I don't think it'll be handy or it'll be helpful. All right. So